Hi, Shock of God. This is Nor Tatum, the Devil's Advocate, and I want to answer your question. Unlike other atheists on YouTube, I'm not going to try to debunk your question. I'm not going to try to explain what atheism is. I'm going to answer it without making an assumption of what you really meant. I'm going to utilize your words despite the fact that your question has some pretty horrible grammar behind it. And if it's not for horrible grammar, then it was worded deliberately to try to make it unanswerable. The first answer to your question is going to be this. If he is willing and unable, then he is not omniscient. If he is able but unwilling, then he's malevolent. If he is both willing and able, whence cometh evil? And if he is neither willing nor is he able, why call him God? That is from Epicurus, one of the first philosophers from ancient Greece, and that was his conundrum, speaking pretty much against the gods, or at least using the concept to figure out which gods should be gods and which should be just demigods or whatever. The other part of the answer is this. So, you want to know if atheism is accurate and correct. An opinion in and of itself cannot be correct or accurate. It can only represent the sum total of facts collected. And I'm sorry to say, but Christianity fails to have these facts and figures right about the ones that you talk about stating that we have no proof, we have no evidence. Let's see. Fred Allen Wolf, Albert Einstein, Charles Darwin. Even though Charles Darwin was a Christian and not an atheist, contrary to popular belief, even he came up with evidence about the origin of species, which is actually a misnomer. It wasn't the origin of species, it was the theory of evolution. Origins of species is abiogenesis. All of these men worked on different principles of scientific fact to bring the world out of the Dark Ages. When the Bible was written, it was written by the first sections of it were written by basically Stone Aged men, not even Bronze Aged men. And then Bronze Age men started finishing it, and finishing it, and finishing it, and reinterpreting it. And every time a war happened, new bits and pieces came into being. You know, the book had 41 known authors and more unknown authors. Plus the fact that it's been translated from very complex languages that do not have the exact same words. I mean, we have arguments now going on today about people in the Bible, places in the Bible, where they would be, where they're not, people in the Bible Was Mary Magdalene a prostitute, or was she the 13th apostle? You know, there the burden of proof falls on you. The question you asked was, where is the proof and evidence? The proof and the evidence exists. It's every time you watch National Geographic, every time you watch something like Cosmos, every time that you actually look at the world and see how the world works and how everything unfolds, is evidence. The Bible is not evidence of anything other than that there were people who wanted to know where we came from and didn't have scientific evidence. They didn't have the tools. All they had were stories. That's why I consider the Bible to be the greatest science fiction story ever told, or at least maybe not the best, horribly written, but it is definitely the most popular, more popular than Isaac Asimov, Jules Verne, Aldous Huxley, Robert Heinlein, Harlan Ellison, Harry Harrison, Paul Anderson, all those famous names combined. It has outsold all of those people. So that goes to another thing. How can atheism be correct if so few of us are part of it? Well, you have to remember, um, it is popular to believe in a concept where you have the safety net of immortality, where because we're all scared of dying, you know, and what takes the fear away? Belief in an afterlife. And what puts fear back? That if you did something wrong, you'll go to hell. Um, you know, I feel that that's kind of like having the government be a babysitter, Bible being a babysitter, and coming up with a lot of our laws and stuff. You know, to me, it's unnecessary. It is patently unnecessary. We do not need to live this way. We have the ability to think. We have the ability to dig in the ground. We have the ability to test to see how old something is. We have the ability to question whether something is one thing or another. For every one charlatan out there that has tried to find a false answer, there's about 900 real scientists out there who don't even want to get a book credit. All they want to do is find the truth. And that's the thing. It's about finding the truth. You know, I am convinced there is no God. I'm not an agnostic. I'm not, and contrary to popular belief, agnostics are not fence sitters. They are people that just believe that there's no way we can know God. And they fall into two categories: theists and atheists. I don't. Your worldview is rather, in my opinion, rather skewed because you feel that my worldview deserves no respect. And I feel that's kind of sad because I do respect your worldview. I do love the fact that you have faith. But when you ultimately wake up in the morning, you have to realize that your faith is not a fact, it's an opinion. Your worldview is an opinion based on the facts and figures you've seen and what you feel is the evidence out there. So, why don't you do us a favor and show us that there is a God? Prove it. Do something. Pray and use a scientific method to prove whether your prayers have come true or not. Uh, you know, have verifiable proof, you know, that the Earth is younger than the scientists of the world claim it is. I have the proof. I've read the books. I don't want to have to go through and cite a bunch of things to you that I know you've seen before. Stuff that has not been refuted. You know, like I said, go back and look at all the great thinkers, mathematicians, scientists, you know, even the ones that are religious, their evidence, their proofs don't disprove at all an opinion. You cannot disprove an opinion. So, in a way, since we all are allowed opinions, and since I exist, I'm a human, and I'm an atheist, my opinion is atheism is correct and accurate because I exist. And it is correct because it is verified by proof. And the burden of proof does not fall on anybody when the scientific community has already stated that they have found proof, not that there is no God, but proof that evolution, cosmology, abiogenesis, that these theories haven't been disproven yet. Because they haven't been disproven, and because these theories have lasted as long as they have, and they're relatively new theories, right there, that in and of itself should end the argument right there. Now I know you're going to go and post this video back and say, well, another person failed to answer your question. Okay, here. How can you answer your question other than you cannot disprove an opinion? All you can do is disprove facts. The fact that I am an atheist, the fact that there's atheists in general in the world means that it's a valid opinion because there are people that happen to be atheist. One, two, the fact that there's facts and figures out there by noted scientists. The fact that some of the greatest people in geniuses out there happen to be atheist or became atheist because of their thoughts and the facts that they had dug up. And the fact that you simply say, no, that's not proof. That's not proof. That's not proof. Okay. Here's the thing. Prove to me that someone has disproven evolution. Prove to me that someone has disproved abiogenesis. Prove to me that someone has disproved cosmology, because you can't. Just like I can't prove a negative. I can't prove that there's a God out there. But that doesn't mean that he isn't out there. Just because I can't disprove him. It just falls back to the burden of proof. I can prove that we evolved. I can prove that we are still evolving, that evolution didn't stop. What you need to do is prove to me that God exists and that Christianity is accurate and correct.